So to kick off, we're going to first look at the solution overview. So what is it that makes up a working Zibo system? So the central hub of a Zibo solution is the content management system. This can be hosted locally on your network, or it can be hosted in the cloud. The content management system is the central point where your content creators will upload their media and will schedule that content to be shown on your screens at the appropriate time. The second part of the solution is the player. The player takes the information from the content management system and uses that to make sure that it shows the content you've asked for at the right time on your screen. There's a range of players available. There's players for Windows and Linux, both of which are open source and free to use. Or there's commercial players for Android, WebOS and Tizen. Commercial players do attract a license fee, and we cover that later on in the course on commercial licensing. Together, the Zibo CMS and the player form the digital signage solution. So how would you go about getting a content management system set up? Well, by far the easiest option is to set up a cloud-hosted content management system. They're available from zibosignage.com, and they can be purchased as an annual subscription or as a monthly subscription, depending on the size of the content management system you want to have. Alternatively, if you prefer, you can download and run Zibo locally on your own servers. There's detailed instruction guides available online in our documentation section, and the link appears on the screen. We recommend that you use Docker for the installation. Docker is a container management system, and that ensures that the content management system that you run locally has all the right dependencies and software versions to make sure that you have the least trouble possible with your server. It is possible to do a non-Docker install. However, the Zibo project and Zibo Signage cannot necessarily offer support for that. We briefly touched on before, there's a variety of players available. There's a player for Windows, which is open source, and that will run on Windows 7 and later currently. There's a player for Linux, which is in a beta stage currently. There's a player for Android, which is commercial. There's a player for LG's WebOS, which runs on their commercial signage grade panels. And similarly, a player for Samsung's Tizen system, which again runs on their commercial screens. Detailed installation instructions for each of those players is available on the documentation site. So once you have your content management system installed and you've got your player software, you'll have installed that on a player device, so either a small computer or on an Android media player or directly on the panel itself. You need to then connect that to something to show the content that you want to show. So that might be a television, or it might be a commercial digital signage panel, certainly in the case of the system on chip players, as they're integrated into the panel themselves. You might use a projector, you might use LED video walls or a tablet, or you may use a TV based video wall, which would normally be via an HDMI scaler splitter. So there's a brief overview of the entire Zibo solution and the components you need in order to get up and running.